navigate the daily rush of modern life, we spend an enormous amount of energy trying to construct a permanent version of ourselves. We treat our identities, our opinions, and our possessions as a fortress intended to withstand the passage of time. But maintaining this defensive posture is exhausting because the foundation beneath us is shifting. Time and experience erode any rigid structure. The scholar Walpola Rahula describes the result of this struggle as dukkha. It is often translated as suffering, but it specifically refers to the low-grade friction and anxiety that hums in the background of a life spent resisting change. This anxiety is the direct result of an obsession with holding on to a version of ourselves that is naturally designed to fluctuate. 2.5 millennia ago, the Buddha introduced a concept that dismantled the existing hierarchies of his time. It was the doctrine of Anatta, or no soul. The premise challenges our most basic assumptions. There is no unchanging substance, no eternal soul, and no permanent entity behind consciousness. Instead of a solid I, the Buddhist view describes a physio-psychological machine. The self is a combination of 5 interdependent parts: matter, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Modern neuroscience agrees. The self is an emergent property, not a fixed pilot. Believing in a fixed identity creates a conflict with our biological reality, setting the stage for a lifetime of psychological friction. To make this process visible, the Buddha compared human existence to a swift mountain river. In this view, there is no instant where the river stops flowing or taking everything along. It is defined entirely by its movement. This is the law of cause and effect in action. One moment disappears, and that very disappearance conditions the appearance of the next moment in an unbroken series. We are not the stones sitting in the water. We are the water itself, constantly becoming something new. These ideas were preserved over centuries on palm leaf manuscripts, documenting a philosophy built on observation rather than blind belief. These records represent a living practice of mental culture, where concepts like impermanence are tested through scholarly debate and personal experience. In daily life, this flux shows up in small ways: a favorite cup that eventually breaks, a shirt you no longer fit into, or the face in the mirror that looks different than it did a decade ago. Anxiety arises when we try to freeze these fleeting moments into permanent states. Trying to freeze a rushing river is a struggle against physics. Accepting the river must move is the only way to end the exhaustion of holding on. Removing the permanent soul from the equation changes the mechanics of despair. Because nothing is permanent, no mistake is final, and no pain is guaranteed to last. The same flux that erodes our fortress also ensures that our current burdens will eventually pass. The Buddha characterized his own teachings not as an identity to be adopted, but as a simple utilitarian raft. The raft exists for one specific purpose: to cross the turbulent waters of ignorance and reach the shore of understanding. Once that shore is reached, the instruction is to leave the raft behind. One does not carry the tool on their back as a heavy religious dogma once the journey is complete. Spiritual maturity means having the courage to discard even the truth once it has served its purpose of providing freedom. These teachings reject the need for divine intervention or external gurus, placing the requirement for progress on rigorous personal investigation. The final instruction is self-reliance. It positions the individual as their own final refuge, responsible for their own sight and their own liberty. Stop building fortresses on the sand. Accept the flux of reality, let go of the resistance, and finally learn how to swim.